Today, we're not just sipping Kool-Aid, we're dumping the whole pitcher on the floor. But the question is, does the Kool-Aid leave a permanent stain? Welcome to Surviving Ish podcast. I'm David, and I'm joined today by Alicia, and we are going to discuss how she is spilling the damn Kool-Aid.
I'm spilling it.
I'm so excited to have this conversation with you.
I'm so excited to have this conversation with you.
Yeah.
This has been a long time coming.
I know we keep trying. You've been on some lives with us. We go
Yes.
TikTok. You've been on the Unholier podcast and your story, the things that you share, the Kool-Aid that you're spilling, all the things is so great. So I can't wait to get into it. So let's start out. What is your thing this week that you're surviving-ish?
This week I'm surviving planning a birthday party for my best friend.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah. You know, the thing is, I really do love where my life is right now. I'm really grateful and thankful. I am a single woman with no kids. I own multiple businesses and I'm thriving. I'm so grateful. This is the best place I've ever been, like financially, my mental health. This is the best place I've ever been in my life. That being said, all of my friends are at that point in their life where they have husbands and kids and they also have jobs, all those things, which is great. And I love that for them. I am the world's best auntie. I really am.
Yeah.
But my schedule, my availability, my commitment to friendship comes a lot higher on my priority list than someone who has a husband and kids, etc. So when I'm sending out the text, hey, let's make my bestie's birthday so special. I want to do X, Y, and Z. And they're like, yeah, but I don't have a babysitter and I don't have this and I don't have that. And I just had this like stupid little petty beef with the birthday girl this week. So maybe I will come, maybe I won't come. I'm going to make the cake. No, I'm going to buy the cake. All I wanted was to be able to go have a cute little dinner where we're wearing cute little outfits and celebrate this person who's super important to me. She's one of the most important people in my life. And it's so much drama. It's so much extra. It's just so much. And this is me trying to be kind about it, but like.
No, I get it though, because I so when my partner and I were together, and especially during COVID when so many things were shut down, I love to host. And, we had a hot tub and a pool and a nice size home that could accommodate people if they were drinking and needed to stay. If not, we had
Yes.
a lovely yard or a pool deck. You can pass out. Most of them did.
Love it.
And so, but I'm going to Walmart and I have a limited time. I can't breathe in a mask, but I want to wear one. Like I don't want I don't want to expose an 85-year-old lady to anything. Like, I'm just going to wear
Right.
it. I don't have time to fuss about it. I'm just going to wear it. And of course, things are overpriced and limited. And I don't know.
Can't find any toilet paper.
Right. I mean, I did put in the memo, bring your own toilet paper. I'll provide you the beer.
Good.
It's not BYOB, it's BYTP.
Yes.
and it's like, I don't know if I'm buying 25 hamburgers or 45 hamburgers. Money's limited, resources are limited. And are you going to, even though the invite says no children, are you still going to show up with your child and say, sorry, last minute, no babysitter, even though the invitation said, am I going to have
real.
how much do I spend? Give me an answer and commit to it.
Just let me plan.
Help me help you. If I'm able to plan this party for you and not for you as in the person of honor,
right?
You're supposed to come to this place. It's supposed to be lovely and stress free. I have a few questions, a few things that is going to help me do that for you.
Absolutely.
Help me help you.
Ridiculous.
so
Yeah, so I'm surviving it, but we're gonna have a good time. It's gonna be good.
so have you at what point do you say, you know what? This is time, this is location, these are rules, these are the dress attire. Here's what is provided. If you want anything outside of this, you're financially responsible. Like at what point do you send out that message to people?
Oh, I mean, I jumped straight to that. At this point, I said, listen, this is where the reservation is for dinner. This is where we're going beforehand. We're gonna have, I made the invitation as like, we're gonna celebrate Lindsay, some light libations at this location, then dinner at this location. Let me know if you'll be there. And like, I wanted to do like a party somewhere, but it's like, I'm not cleaning the house. I'm not doing the pickup. I'm not, whatever. I called her husband and I said, do I need to figure out childcare for you? Yes or no? And he was like, oh, let me look into it. I had a backup plan. He got his mother-in-law to do it, so that's fine. But it was literally like, I'm going to make sure this is happening. We're having dinner this time. And I don't care if it's just me and her. Everyone else can F off. But up to 8 people can be there because that's what the reservation is for.
I love that because at some point you have to say, all right, there are people that have communicated, and there are some for whatever reason has chosen not to communicate because we have to be a little nice, nasty, a little jab with it. So for whatever reason, you've decided to not communicate, and now here we are, and you can wait in line for another table. Hope
Yep.
is next to us. If you have to wait longer than our reservation and we leave before you to head to the next location, hope to see you there. And hope,
Sounds like a you problem.
yeah, I love that. I love that because I'm always the one that like I'm always early. I'm always punctual. I'm such a planner. Like I will have name tags on seats. Everyone will have, you
Yes.
know what I mean? Like that's the kind of person I am. And if I can be 30 minutes early to something, you can at least be 5 minutes early.
And, okay, so like my biggest thing with this whole thing is like I really just wanted my friend to be able to show up and enjoy being celebrated. That's all I care about. I don't want her planning. I don't want her figuring out, oh, is the kids going to be there? Is this going to be there? Like I just wanted her to show up. And then
Right.
we have someone calling her and be like, "Well, does she want a cake? Does what kind of cake does she want? What does she want?" I said, "Don't." And then I find out that like someone's like been texting her directly and I'm like, "Girl, I literally said, let me handle it."
And you know what I say to that person? Thank you for letting me know that you will no longer be invited to any other party.
I mean, I'm pretty cutthroat, but like there's something I'm still whipped. I'm still whipped.
I know. I think that, like, what I love about people like me and you, but also that is a double edged sword, is we care about people. And we
Yes.
want to keep giving benefit of the doubt, regardless of
Absolutely.
money, time, stress it costs us. If I'm still able to take on this stress to where the birthday girl doesn't get as much stress, then I feel accomplished. And because there's always going to be somebody.
There's always going to be somebody.
Damn it. Like, you're the reason we can have nice things.
Exactly. This is why we can't have nice things.
So, speaking of not having nice things, that kind of leads me into my ish that I had this moment today of, oh, I am why I can't have nice things. So,
Oh no, not the self-awareness.
yeah, like I decided that I wanted to meal prep and not for health reasons, which probably should be one of them, but it honestly wasn't at the top of my list. But it was for convenience. And like, I was on the Walmart app putting together like a delivery order, and I was like, wait, you can get a week's worth of bacon, egg, and cheese croissants I'm getting at Burger King every morning that's beside my office for the same price. Like a whole week's worth is gonna be the same price as the one I just bought.
Right.
I can buy my own sodas and have enough for a week for the price of. And so I was like, well, why am I not doing this? And
Mm-hmm.
so I decided that I was going to meal prep. I come home and I'm trying to like put things in boxes and packages that this TikTok person told me to do. And I'm not going to say her name because I'm mad at her right now.
Oh,
And this leads me to aluminum foil.
oh no.
I either had so much that I could have wrapped up a week's worth of containers, or there was enough, but just one corner that wasn't covered to allow air to get in to spoil everything. And so now, Alicia, I'm in this place in my life as of today that is spending $10 every morning on breakfast worth the lack of stress of meal prepping because I
How extensive is your sanity?
obviously not like I'm held together with duct tape and a prayer at this point. Like I'm white knuckling sanity.
Don't you mean you're held together with a little bit of aluminum foil?
And that's all we have for today's podcast.
And that was a great chat.
Like I
I'm
don't
literally wearing a shirt that says live, laugh, lobotomy.
think like I can't I understand why for years I've been
Hmm.
like, screw it, I'm going to the drive. I can get a week's worth of breakfast for what I spend in one value meal.
But sometimes I need my Starbies, okay? Yes, I could buy cold brew at home. And yes, I have the frother to make my own cold foam.
See, that's where I draw the line. I will not make coffee at home. I will always.
And that is the cost of your sanity. That is the cost of, and I mean, it's so funny because I talk about like millennials, right? Like the reason that we're not buying homes is because we make our avocado toast. Listen, I'm gonna keep buying my avocados.
Okay, but do you know how to open up an avocado?
Yes, David, I'm Mexican.
Oh,
Come on now.
you're right. I'm just learning. I've watched some videos.
Also, I'm from California. Even if I wasn't Mexican, I'm Mexican by proxy because I live in California. We're basically Mexico. Even in Northern California, you know how to, I know how to open an avocado, of course. My family had Mexican restaurants. Like, come on.
Okay, we have to. I need some videos, some tutorial videos, because and like where I struggle is so a week or so ago, I have a Dunkin' that's by my house that's next to the interstate, and so
Hmm.
like an app, and I will buy like $15 or $20 worth of drinks and some avocado toast with bacon, and because I want a cold drink, I want a hot drink, and then I need a shot of espresso, and I spend
Oh my
money.
God. I love it.
Right. Like I spend money like I have it, right? So
You better have it.
I'm doing the best I can.
Listen, what is this wedding that you're supposed to be planning us?
You're right, which was going to be part of this conversation.
Mm,
But luckily today I've learned that you are the better planner, so I'm just going to give you my pocket.
beautiful. Give me the Amex. I got this. I
Yeah.
got this, babe.
But so okay, so one morning I made my online Starbucks order as I was pulling out of the driveway. I get on the interstate, I get to work. No Dunkin'. I paid almost $20.
You didn't stop?
and it's 20 minutes away. I forgot.
Oh my
So I
God.
called them and I was like, hey, like, is there something? They were like, we don't refund situations like, and I was like, I guess just give it to someone. So I just gave Duncan, who has more money than me, $20, and they probably just threw the
Yeah, they're definitely hurting for
right.
money. They have Jen and Ben Affleck on their commercials. They can afford to give you a $20 refund.
Yeah, but no, nothing. And so that was that. And then I went to clean out my car because I was gonna be nice and give a friend a ride. And I was like, oh God, I better. My house is always spotless. My car never is. My
My
car,
car looks like a homeless person lives in it right now.
yes, my car is like the junk drawer inside someone's house. And so
So bad.
I have no junk drawer. Everything is labeled and beautiful and perfect. My car, total disarray. My car is my junk drawer. And so, of course, when I'm having to give someone a ride, I'm like, let me just shove
Ugh.
everything to the back seat.
All these empty water bottles and
Yeah.
Dunkin' cups.
Yeah. And so I was gathering things. I was going to take it to the dumpster because I was at work at the time. So I was taking it to the work dumpster. And I picked up this Dunkin' Donut box. I was like, this feels like there's something in it. Honey, it was a whole piece of avocado toast. At one point, I guess, I bought avocado toast with bacon. Never ate it, never touched it, never opened it. I guess at some point I put on my brace. It ended up in the floor. Box never opened, so it stayed in the box. I'm just spending money. Like that money, avocado toast is what, $5? The coffee that I didn't get is 25. That could have been $25 toward our wedding.
That could have been for our wedding. David, how are we going to afford to have Reba sing as we walk down the aisle?
I will find a way.
Reba, baby, can you also bring some avocados with you?
And because I'm going to learn before our honeymoon how to cut an avocado because I'm going to make you the best avocado toast you've ever had.
All right, I'm here for it. You have to get the chili crunch.
I appreciate your faith in me.
I believe in you. I believe in you. Hey, I've believed in crazier things.
Which leads me to the main topic that I want to talk about.
The
So,
real topic at hand here.
yeah, so you were a guest on Unholier, and if no one has, if any of the listeners have not listened to Unholier, please do. It's hosted by our friend Jenny, who's been on here. And it is a podcast of people who have escaped religious cults. And Alicia has shared her story on there. And I'll put the show notes or the link to
Yes.
that episode in our show notes. Alicia, tell us a little bit about your backstory and where you come from.
All right, so this is how I start out my TikTok videos. Hi, my name's Alicia. I spent 9 years in a super culty church, and I am spilling the Kool-Aid, which is a funny, quirky little way of saying I spent 9 years at one church in particular. Before that, about 5 years at another church that was also affiliated in the family, etc. At a church that was a non-denominational church with a Pentecostal background. Now, when you think Pentecostal, there's two different vibes that you might get from that. Pentecostal could be the long skirts, long hair, no makeup. We weren't that type of Pentecostal, but we were the speaking in tongues, signs and wonders, stuff like that. Not quite Bethel. There was no gold dust, no snakes,
Okay.
but definitely like the laying on of hands, touch someone, they fall out in the spirit. We're speaking in tongues, we're seeing things in the spirit, we're giving prophecies, etc. And in this church that I was in, I got into like the inner circle. So, like, let's say you go on a Sunday morning and you're attending that church. It may just seem like a run of the mill church, very energetic, lots of like, they had the full band with the electric guitars and whatnot, which my Baptist family was like, oh no, they have electric guitars, they're going to hell. That's a different background.
Wow.
Um, But and that's a direct quote from my grandfather. We went to Christmas service at the Baptist church one day, or one year, and they had been using electric guitars, and he was like, they're getting too Pentecostal. They got electric guitars now. And I'm like, it's a guitar.
Well, the only difference between
Uh,
an
just
electric guitar
ridiculous.
is that one is plugged up, right? Like, is that the
Yeah, it's not acoustic. So that's too much. Or they got drums. That makes it like less holy or whatever. But we had a band. We had like the lights, the excitement, all of that. And at this church, maybe you're attending a Sunday service, it may seem energetic and fun and cool and whatever. But then when I was becoming discipled and I was in a ministry training program, I had all of these really extensive rules and a certain code of conduct that I was expected to live by. And once I was in that like realm, the expectation of how I was supposed to be living was so strict and so strenuous that it stopped being something where I was attending a church and it became something that I became a part of a high control religion. And that's where we get those terms like cult, high control religion, cult, all of those things is when I'm no longer just attending again because I believe in this thing and I'm here with my own free will. Now we're talking if I had one extra text message to a boy, I'm going to get in trouble. If I ask one question, I'm going to get demoted. And that's a real thing that happened to me. I asked, "What are we doing today?" And I was demoted from my position that I had worked several years to get to and was no longer allowed in certain meetings. I was no longer allowed to use certain terms for myself. I wasn't allowed to present myself in this way that I was in the in crowd. I had not no longer been a person that I was allowed to be considered up here like everyone else, all because I said, "What are we doing today?" And you don't question the pastor. So that's where that high control religion, line gets crossed. So the church I was in, it was called Church of the Harvest. It's in Citrus Heights, California, which is right by the Sacramento area. I attended there. And by the time I was 16 years old, I was I was being hazed so that I could join a youth discipleship program. I had, all these crazy rules about like I couldn't text my cousin because he was a boy and I was a girl. So I'm not allowed to text him. They're telling me that I shouldn't spend.
I feel like that says something within itself, right? Like you would
My
think,
thing is,
you know,
when you put so much focus on sex, when you look at someone and say, "Hey, don't think about the purple elephant," you're thinking about the purple elephant.
yeah.
So now you're creating this like sexual connotation in relationships and situations that were never sexual. I never looked at my cousin and was like, "I'm gonna bang him."
And well, and that's kind of my point is there's this perversion that
Hmm.
that is associated with it. And but it's not a perversion on your end or your cousin's end. There's a
No.
boundary, an incestual boundary. You don't cross this line. And
Well,
but
there's a social normative boundary.
right, and but the people that are making these rules and saying that if you do this, you're going to want to bang your cousin, it's because they have either already banged their cousin or someone like their cousin, or they've at least had the thoughts or tendencies. I've never had a thought. I've never thought.
Never in my life have I considered
I
sleeping with my cousin.
like I remember when growing up, I had some close cousins, and
Hmm.
we would go camping a lot. And my cousins were my age, and we would have to share rooms. And this was even through pubescent years. And I knew I was gay before I knew what gay was, right? So at this point,
Right.
I knew I was gay. I just wasn't speaking about it. It was like scary or whatever. I was never aroused of my cousin staying
No.
with me in his boxers.
No.
I
And
never.
like there's so but then, there is when you say it in that context, there's like some things that like I never connected. So the pastor of the church, he when he let one of the students live with him while she was in training, ministry training. So he called her his daughter. That was his daughter. Everyone knew like she used to like for all intents and purposes like use his last name in public like that's her dad. So she would call his kids her siblings. He had three kids, Taylor, Elijah, and Aaron. And she was older than all of them and anywhere from like 3 to 8 years age difference. But that was her family. Those were her siblings. Fast forward to 2020 and she ended up marrying the youngest son. So one minute it's her brother, now it's her husband. They have a kid together. So do do family ties not stop you from wanting to bang each other? Like
I
it's
think
just weird.
so. I get torn on this because I remember you. I don't know if it was on your episode that you talked about this, or if it was on a live that you and Jenny did and you talked about it. But
Yeah, maybe.
I've thought about this because
Yeah.
I've heard you talk about this story. What I think is that at some point morals come into place, right? So
Mm-hmm.
she and he were not blood related.
For sure.
They were living as if they were. Now, could there be a world where they fall in love and they have an happily ever after and all that? Fine. But,
Sure.
but it kind of and where the rabbit hole that I started going into, excuse me, is this. Let's say, uh, let's say this man, Bob, we'll call him, is family friends with the neighbor Renee and Roger, and they have a 17-year-old daughter. If Bob was attracted to the 17-year-old daughter and did nothing, fine. But the day she turns 18, he can legally do something
Right.
if she wanted to, right? As hopefully it would be
Consensually.
consensual. So does that mean it's okay for him to sexually proposition her on her 18th birthday because she's now legal? And
That's
and
so
and I guess
hate that.
lawfully it is okay, but then that's where the morals step
Yeah.
in. And so I think that what we're facing in the example that I just gave, and with the story that is not an example, that is a true story that
Yes.
you just gave, is ethically, or I guess legally, whatever.
Is there something wrong with these two people being married? No. Is there something right about it? I don't know.
Sure. And so I think that's where the morals come into place. And there's just a fine line with what we believe is morally okay.
Oh, that's better. Absolutely.
The fact that I am not 18.
Yeah.
But the fact that I could go to a Chuck E. Cheese to someone who's celebrating their 18th birthday
Mm-hmm.
and legally be able to proposition them, and legally it's okay, is it morally okay?
And there's so many of these like blurred lines in the church that I grew up in. The pastor of the church, he was previously married to a woman that he met in youth group. He was a youth pastor. She was a student. And the parents signed off and allowed for her to get married underage. Now, it was just kind of like randomly joked about from here and there, and it was talked about in front of me so much when I was younger that it was like normalized. But now that I'm older and I'm no longer in that religious psychosis and I've taken a step back, they used to make jokes that Dan would have to sign his sign permission slips for his wife to go to camp because legally he was her guardian
Yeah,
because she was a minor.
custodian, if you will.
And it's like, hold on. No one thought this was weird. And we're not talking like, oh, this was happening in the 50s and the 40s. It was normal. We're talking in the 90s.
Yeah, and it didn't stop in the 90s. The example, the story that you lived in that you know of was then, but it's happening today.
It's still happening.
And the
Absolutely.
fact that we have, and not to make things political by any means, but that we have an administration right now that is purposely changing the ages of consent to protect people who,
Hate it.
yesterday was legally an adult, but now today they are not, to prevent it from being rape to the person that they assaulted. Like, that's where we live right
It's crazy.
now. And but even though I'm making it political in the here and now, but what I think you may have some better insight on this is this is always, it's always been this way in the church.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it's crazy. Like in the church, the things that we handle things in-house.
Mhm.
So handling things in-house allow for those lines to get blurred.
Yep.
So when you're talking about, someone's being abused and abuse, I'm using that as like a very wide term, any type of abuse. And then you go to your spiritual leader, you go to your pastor or, your small groups leader or whatever, and you're gonna say, hey, I'm experiencing this type of abuse. And then their response should be picking up the phone and calling the police. Should be, let's go get you somewhere safe. But oftentimes, instead of saying, let's protect you, let's take care of you, let's get you the help that you need to survive this type of abuse, instead they're saying, let's pray for your husband. Let's pray for your youth leader that's been taking you out and doing X, Y, and Z. That type of abuse when you're handling it in house. And I mean, I have experienced this. There were things that, like, a man who was older than me was acting inappropriately. And I felt a line was crossed. And I went to someone on staff at the church who was a mandated reporter. And she said, don't worry about it. We'll handle it. Nothing was handled. I don't even know if they had a conversation with that man. He went on to be a youth leader. He went on to just so many things. And then later on down the road, I find out that this man did more and did different and did this and did that because he felt he was able to get away with it. There was no like fear of consequence because he had been able to get away with it before. So then, you talk about a woman, there's a book that's called The Power of a Praying Wife. And it is a very commonly used book in the Christian world that I came from. And they go in, it's like, oh, my husband gets really angry. And when he gets angry, he may yell and scream and cuss and hit. And the book instructs these women to pray for her husband. Go talk to your Christian counselor and invest in this relationship and hope that God makes it better. And then gave instructions to also go further and say, you're probably not being a good enough Christian wife. You're probably not taking care of his
Of
needs.
course,
You're
like,
probably not laying on your back enough.
of course.
When the real answer should be, oh, your husband doesn't know how to stop hitting you or doesn't know how to stop verbally abusing you or controls your money and won't let you have access to the money so you couldn't leave if you wanted to. He'll only put a quarter tank of gas because he knows that's all you can get to and from work and that's it.
Cutting down the mileage, like when they know how many miles it is to the grocery store and back home, and
Why is there an extra mile on here?
uh-huh.
Where were you? So when that's happening, this book instructs people to pray for him.
But and it is victim blaming, right?
Exactly. And instead of saying, "Hey, let's pray. Why don't you be a better Christian? Why don't you be a better wife? Why don't you be a better, all these things that the book alludes to or straight out says depending on. Instead, you should be saying, "Honey, I'm going to take your hand. We're going to go find you an apartment. We're going to go press charges. We're going to go get a, restraining order against this man." There's no support, and it all goes into this religious psychosis, and that's the topic of tonight. It's all that we're talking about. It's the religious psychosis that they believe that this responsibility that they have, and they may truly believe that they have this responsibility to God, but genuinely they have this responsibility to adhere to a religious set of rules, that responsibility is more important than the well-being and safety of themselves or their family, their children, and that religious psychosis that God's going to take care of this, that like God will have my back. And I'm not downing anyone that has faith. Have faith.
Sure.
Sometimes faith is what gets people through these things, and that's great, but that does not negate the responsibility for those people to have to face the consequences for their actions. Just because I believe in God and God's going to help me through this doesn't mean that this man who's been hitting me or verbally abusing me or fill in the blank thing doesn't need to face the consequences for his actions. He needs to be held responsible for the things that he's choosing to do and the way that he's acting, etc.
Absolutely. Okay, so I want to ask you a question. We hear a lot when there's natural disasters, when there's some kind of catastrophe, a mass shooting, whatever it may be. There are groups of people, a mass group of people that send thoughts and prayers. It's almost become triggering to me because
Yeah.
I want, like you were saying and beautifully said, I want you to have your faith. I want you to have that place to lay your head down at night and think, you know what, like I'm protected and I'm good. But I also want you to be
Or a
real
sense of meaning. Yeah.
sure. But I respectfully, and there's no nice way to say this to a believer, um, like the mega believers, right? There's no
Hmm.
way to say this, but I can't think of a time that thoughts and prayers have truly changed anything.
Right.
And
That's such a real perspective.
right. So I love the sentiment behind it, right? I
Hmm.
love the sentiment behind it because when someone post something on Facebook of a tragedy that they went through, I want to say I'm sending you all the love, but then now I'm triggered and I'm like, well, fuck, I can't say that because that's a thought and prayer, and
Right.
it's not
Right.
done, and so now there's, and at least in my mind, I'm personally speaking, right? In my mind, there's this negative connotation to it because
Hmm.
thoughts and prayers is lovely, but it's not the stopping
Well,
point.
what's it gonna do for me? Yeah.
It's I'm going to send you this positive thought and this positive prayer because I truly mean that. But as I'm sending that to you, I'm going to get a good night's sleep because tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be your ally. And I am then going to get a plan to do this and this to help.
Yes.
And people want to stop at thoughts and prayers and in God's hands. Well, honey, God is busy. He's got things going on in his life. He is busy. And
Or all these, people in religious psychosis, he allowed this to happen in the first place. So what this is all part of his plan?
so exactly. So and I guess you're going to touch on it now, but the point of my yeah other tangent. I feel like I've been on so many of them here lately in the episodes that I've done. Maybe I should change the name to the podcast as Dave is going to go on a tangent again.
On topic ish.
Right. But with your religious background, indoctrination, and even breaking away from that harsh structure to whatever it is you believe now, which
Yeah.
I would love for you to also tell us about, like with your relationship with religion and God now.
Yeah.
But when you heard or even said thoughts and prayers to a tragedy a few years ago when you were
Yeah.
in this cult atmosphere versus
10 years ago, 10 years ago, 1 week from today, we are celebrating the 10-year anniversary of me being cult free.
my the anniversary of my hate crime and attack happened 10/23, and it's going to be the 10-year anniversary.
We're 10 days apart.
October is a crazy month for me.
That's kismet.
Uh-huh. With my wife,
Mm-hmm.
we have another
All connected.
here we are drawn
I
together.
mean, it was a little bit different because I know you're only 24 and I'm a little bit older.
And oh my god, and this takes us back to where does morals come in place? When
I know. I'm
you?
robbing the cradle. Okay, but to answer your question, all jokes aside, this is actually really exciting. I'm gonna like get more comfy.
I know when I saw
Okay.
you moving, I was like, oh, we're about to get real. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. So I'm gonna get a little bit preachy on you so that we can set something up.
Sure.
Because I do have deep ingrained in there the things that I learned as a pastoral staff member and someone with a ministry license. As a Christian person, especially someone who believes in the Pentecost, that who believes in the signs and wonders, etc. When you are praying, when you are believing and you're having faith in something, the reason that you speak out and the reason that you pray to God, we would always say prayer moves the hand of God. And it is a act of your faith to speak those things into existence. That what you say on earth is bound in heaven, what you loose on earth is loose in heaven, and the things that you speak is a direct call to what is at work in heaven above you and in the spiritual realm. So your words, they have power. They, when you speak something, that those are the things that unlock something else. Now that is something that, when you're in the Christian world, that is prayer, that is speaking things into existence. Those are all terms. Now, when I got to the point where I was no longer considering myself a Christian, and I went through this entire long journey of trying to understand, what do I believe? And the short answer to that is I'm not really sure. Spoiler alert, I don't know what I believe. But in that transition to get from point A to point B over the last 10 years, I found out that one common chord in so many religions and so many faiths and so many spiritual practices, a common chord is what you speak has power. What you say, an intention, if you have intent in something, that is powerful. You look at the four agreements, you look at even like those who go through the 12-step program, you can look into the science of it. There's these science experiments that if you have two house plants that are in the exact same conditions, you water them the exact same day, they have the same amount of light, everything like that. You walk up and look at one house plant and say, "You're ugly and fat and I hate you." And you look at the other house plant and every single day you say, "I love you. You are wanted and I can't wait to see how you grow." The first house plant will die and wither and the other one will thrive. The What you say, all those intentions, those are real. So what I did is I took a step back and I was like, okay, so we can call it God, we can call it the spaghetti monster in the sky, we can call it divinity. I personally love the term divinity. Don't know why. It just jives with me.
It's a very pretty name.
It's cute. And whatever you're speaking to and you believe that you have power, that's real.
And I feel
And that is
like,
something that like is a common chord. You were saying it's triggering for you to hear thoughts and prayers. Now, when I was in the church, I would get so mad when people would say thoughts and prayers. I'm like, your thoughts don't mean anything. You need to pray. You need to pray because that's prayer moves the hand of God. And then I had this life-changing experience where I was in India and I was at the Golden Temple and I was surrounded by people who believe in the Sikh faith. And they were at this temple worshiping their God. I don't know the term that they use, but God. They were worshiping and they were learning and they were experiencing their faith. And I felt this overwhelming sense of love for those people. And I felt as though I was hearing God because I did during that time really have a true connection with spirit in a way that I felt I was communing with him often. And I felt that the message I was receiving was, I love them so much. Look at the way that they worship and the way that they give themselves in gratitude. They give themselves in worship and they just want to commune with me. And I love that. That was the message I was receiving as I was watching these people worship. And then I go back to the hotel with the rest of my team that was on the mission trip with me. And the women were weeping. And I was like, why are we crying? And they're like, it's just so sad that all those people are going to hell. And I was like, that's not the message I received in this experience. And it really took me a moment to like take a step back. I'm like, do I believe that they're going to hell? Do I? Because I kind of don't feel like I believe that, but that goes against everything that I was taught. And that kind of started, that was a catalyst moment for me to like step out of this religious psychosis that I was in. And so I take that same confusion from when I was in the church that thoughts and prayers shouldn't be a term because you should only be praying. And thoughts is one of those like new agey, stupid terms. I was so against it. Now that I'm super new agey, I'm like, yeah, your thoughts are important, prayers or whatever. You know, we transition from one perspective to the other. So I think what I found comfort in the reason that I've moved out of the feeling that you are explaining, because I did have that. What is a thought and prayer going to do for me? How about you get in your car and go build a house for this family that just lost it in a hurricane? I am not always readily available to give physically, financially, etc. to someone who needs it. But what I can give often is intention. I can believe alongside them that they will have, success in this thing. I can speak life to the things that they're experiencing. I can speak life to, I do believe that you're going to see the light at the end of this tunnel and like I'm believing good things for you. I don't need to attach that to God. I don't need to attach that to any specific, structure. It can be fluid. It can be because I think everything is energy. Everything is, electricity. Everything is, honestly, we're probably in the Matrix. Nothing is real. Like, so in that, it gave me the freedom. It's like if nothing's real, then everything's real. So now, if you're struggling with something, I can say, I believe for you to get what you need from this. And it gave me a comfort. It gave me a space where I can be okay with the idea that, listen, praying, I might not pray for you, but I can give you those thoughts and those intentions and those feelings. And it also freed me from feeling the obligation to give them the thoughts and I don't really need to pray for you. And then if it doesn't work out the way I hope it is, it's not my fault that I didn't have faith because that's a big thing in the church that if you but if you had cancer right now, you're like, hey, I just got this diagnosis. I'm like, okay, I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray for you to be healed. Now, if you don't become healed because I prayed for you, is it because I had lack of faith? Because that's the way I was taught. Like, if I don't have enough faith, I could be standing away in the way of your healing.
well, I think that's a whole different type of conversation too, right? Because
Yes.
I think I identify as atheist, but I
Hmm.
by more Christian values than most Christians that I know. And I know a lot more about the Bible than a lot of these proclaimed Christians.
True.
But what I think that we need to release ourselves from is, if I had this, to use your analogy, if I had this horrific diagnosis and you said you're going to pray for me and I passed away, death is also a part of healing in the eyes
Yeah.
of the Lord. Now, that's hard for us as humans to wrap our minds around, right?
Yeah, that's rough.
And justifiably so. But a, a part there's and forgive me, it's been a bit slow, but I think there was like what, seven ways of healing or something like that. I can't remember exactly, so forgive me. But there's like X amount of ways of like how God heals, and I want to say seven, but I feel like I always go to seven because that's supposed to be like the biblical number. So maybe that's why.
Right.
But death is one of them.
That's funny. I was never taught that. I
Really?
would love to hear more about that.
Oh, let's schedule some time and talk about it. I'll research it. And
Yeah.
that's like, I have a friend of mine who is a pastor of what has been deemed in Georgia, of all places, the gay church, when they're not a gay church, they just love and accept all. And they
Oh, God forbid a Christian loves someone just whether or not they sleep with the same
say
sex.
that
Oh, God.
he was a guest on my podcast, when on the Survivor podcast when I first started, and he was amazing, and we follow each other, and he's so great. And he's like one of those preachers that are like, we will sit beside the prostitutes. We will
Yeah.
have them here. We will we will live like Jesus will, or like Jesus did, or whatever.
Imagine.
And he's just amazing. He and I have been talking about having him on the show, and this subject and you being a part of it might be what needs to happen. And Jenny can come too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Let's just
I
have
love
a
those
big
round,
round table.
I love those roundtable discussions. But you're right. Like we put okay. So I should have clarified or been more clear. I think when people like you and I send thoughts and prayers, we are also doing the things, people like you and I'm speaking for me, but I know you as well. We're doing whatever we are able to do. You know, if I can give you one
Yeah.
bottle of water and that's all I can afford, you're getting a damn bottle of water. You know,
Right.
like we are giving more than our thoughts and prayers. It doesn't stop there. When I mentioned people sending out thoughts and prayers with mass shootings and global
They
catastrophe.
shoot up that thoughts and prayers and then go sit in their Lexus on the way to church.
Well, yes, but who I meant that toward is when you have these politicians
Hmm.
that are making the rules and regulations and dictating what can.
Yeah, you have the power to do something.
Those are the ones where I'm like, you send me thoughts and prayers, or the victims over here thoughts and prayers, and you have the ability. You voted for a rapist. You voted,
And
and
even on a smaller scale than like the politicians, I would go to my pastor and say, I don't know how I'm going to make rent this week. And I just paid my tithe and now I only have $400 and this, that, and the other.
can I guess what they said? Can I guess?
What do you think they said?
Well, we'll pray about
We'll pray about it.
it.
Funny because you don't have $100 that you could spot me.
But you were obligated. Okay, so you might have been a part of this conversation because I think it was on a live one time. But for any for the listener who may not be a part of the TikTok lives, on Tuesdays we go live on TikTok with Unholier, and we talk about like these conversations that are religious
Hmm.
based. And I was not part of a religious cult. I think that my family could have easily been. For whatever reason, we never fell into it. Um,
Yeah.
and that doesn't mean that we're stronger than or whatever. Like, I'm not meaning that by any means.
The way I was raised, that meant you missed out.
No, but one of the times that I remember in church is the pastor was at the pew and literally called my grandparents out by name, stating they had more
Stop it.
bathrooms in their house than he had in his, and it is our responsibility to change that.
Did you hear about the time that my pastor said from the pulpit that he was going to lose his house if he didn't get $18,000? And then my family gave him $18,000
Yes.
in cash, and then
Yes.
he didn't use it for his house?
Of course not. Of course not. That was a part of your.
Yeah, my interview. Yeah. He went on vacation with that money.
I'll put the link in the show note. Like, listen to the full story. Alicia is going to be someone who is an ongoing guest on both shows. She's been a supporter from day one with Unholier. She's been on lives with us. You like, I remember the first time we went live on Unholier. Well, I can say the first time we went live, but I remember the first time that,
We messaged. I was watching. You were on live.
yes, I was a guest with Jenny and you were on. I was like, I'm in love with you.
Literally, you're like, you can make me an almond croissant.
Uh-huh. And we decided right then and there that we were dating. And
I think we were engaged.
we went straight to
We skipped straight to engagement.
I think this is the honeymoon episode.
How cute.
Are my heart.
When I was in church, it was always like, I just love the way that the Lord is working. I just love that the way that like God's plan works out. But kismet, we'll call it. So the night that I met you via chat online, I had discovered the Was I in a Cult podcast as well within 5 minutes of discovering you guys. And then I got tickets to see their live taping. I connected with them. I actually recorded an episode with them a couple weeks ago that goes live a week from tomorrow, which is happenstantially the 10-year anniversary of when I was fired from the cult that I was in.
That
So
so we can share it all. Like, I love that. I
yeah, so that's happening. That's going live, next week. So it's just like I'm getting these connections and it's so funny because like I talked to you guys and then you guys were like, "We want you on our podcast." And I was like, "Let's do it. Let's go." And our podcast, I felt so bad. We recorded for like 4 hours. Your editing was like what the task for you.
no, it was
But we covered so much. It was such this really great thing. And it kind of got me into this like groove of like how to conduct these conversations with people, how I would like to be as a guest. I eventually would like to start my own podcast. I'm hoping to start that situation maybe in the next 3 or 4 months, and
and don't let me
everything
down,
has started so well.
if I can ever help in any kind of way, because
Thank
I've
you.
been doing this for 3, 4, 5 years now. I've spent
Yeah.
more money than I should have because I didn't know, but now I
Right.
have knowledge. If I can help and mentor and be any kind of assistance to you in any kind of way, please allow me, just as
Thank
a
you.
friend and a favor, because I believe in you. I believe in the message,
Thank
and
you.
and you need to be heard. You need to be seen.
Thank you. And it's funny. I think that you'll really like this. I had my really good friend Christine, she's gonna co-host the podcast that I want to do. She'll kind of be like in and out when she can, whenever it works out. And she was at Church of the Harvest with me. She was at the church I was at before that with me. Her name's Christine. And she now is like, she's an atheist. She doesn't believe in any of it. She's like, wants nothing to do with the church. And I was telling her like my goal for having a podcast is to be a place where people who've experienced what I've experienced can like find refuge and talk about their experiences, hear my experiences, etc. I want to, but like on the other side of that coin, I want to have a podcast where people who are currently in ministry, but don't want to be like the church that I went to, I can be a resource and I can kind of guide and help shape. And she's like, well, why do you want to make a podcast for Christians? And I was like, you know what? If I stop one girl from being in a cult because one church leader, I may not believe the same thing as these church leaders. And that's okay. I can still sit at a table with you and help them not abuse other people. I would love to be a source of light and a source of hope for people to no longer experience what I experienced. Because I can call out and tell the stories of how Dan was abusive and, verbally, spiritually, physically, etc. with me. And I can call him out and maybe one day he'll stop being a pastor and he'll stop hurting people. That would be great. But what if I could stop 10 churches
Yeah.
from acting this way? What if, what would the impact look like if I could be a resource for people? If they want to believe in the Bible through and through the way it is written in America, then, all the power to you. That's fine, as long as you're not hurting people. And I want to be there to help people not hurt other people. So that's the dream. That's the big goal with this. But, she was like, I don't understand. Because she's like, fuck the church. And I was like, yo, yes. But just because I no longer align with that doesn't mean that I can't also be a help to them being a healthier version of themselves.
Well, and I think that we have to remember it's so easy to classify things, right? Like it's so easy to say fuck the church. And
Yeah.
I know that I'm guilty of saying those things because it's easy to classify and put people in buckets. But there are plenty of bad people with bad intent inside the church. And that is who I'm directing my fuck the church to.
Yeah.
There's also plenty of people that are there with good intent that are looking for guidance
Well,
and
and also, like, Jesus himself said, forgive them for they know not what they do. These people are in religious psychosis.
yeah,
And what's today? Today's the rapture.
yeah,
And it's full religious psychosis. And here's the thing. So I say these people want to believe in the Bible as it is written in the way they've seen in America. And I use that verbiage very intentionally because there are things that we were taught in church, A, aren't even in the Bible, B, that were mistranslated, even if they are in the Bible, it wasn't even translated properly. What was it, 1942, that the word homosexual was added to the Bible? So there are things. The rapture in particular is something that in the 1800s, one pastor strung together a handful of scriptures and put them side by side by side and explained, okay, so this is what's going to happen in the end times in Revelation. Here's the thing. The book of Revelation, the way I was taught, is a dream that John the Baptist had while he was in prison. And he wrote down this dream. And it's a very detailed description of the way that heaven and hell, etc., looks like, demons, angels, there's a big war, all of this stuff. Now they take those things and then they pull these other scriptures from way over here in Isaiah, Old Testament, blah, 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 where it talks about a ruler coming home to his kingdom and how the city people, his kingdom, greeted him before he even got to the gates. So they came out through the doors and they met him. They came out of the city, found him on his way still home, met him there. So they take that story and they've strung it together with this story of a war that happened in a dream, etc. And then they take this other scripture over here about how there will be people who say, Lord, Lord, I cast out demons in your name. I preach your word. And Jesus would say, I never knew you. Now, if you take those three unrelated topics, put them together in one story, now we're going to say that the Christian people are going to be taken out of earth. Hell's going to happen on earth. And that's the meeting us, meeting the ruler, us being lifted. The Lord, Lord, I never knew you, that whole thing. Now we're going to say that some Christians aren't even going to make the cut. They're not going to get evaporated or whatever. And, it's all these things that they put together. And this sense of religious psychosis comes into play because these people have been taught over and over and over, and it becomes this like huge like cornerstone of their faith and why they do everything that they do. And now it's becoming so real to them that they come to a place where, I mean, there's movies, there's books, it's such a wide range of like this thing that it's very real to them. And it's psychosis is the only way to say it. But it's the reality that they live in. It's the same thing as like a person who has schizophrenia, who you can tell them till you're blue in the face that there is no scary monster sitting next to them with hidden cameras, but they see it, they feel it, they experience, they have all this evidence or proof in their mind. Now, these people who believe in the rapture have that same experience. Like, no, look at this, look at that, look at this. There are people who are saying, oh yeah, these kids keep saying 6, 7. That was actually God nudging us. And listen, I'm a Swiftie, okay? I know how to look for Easter eggs. I
Correct.
know how to look for, oh, look, there's an exit sign in the top corner, and she said that there might be a flickering light with Morse code that's upside down and backwards. And I'm learning how to read Morse code. I can look for a reason or an explanation in anything. So I can understand and I can empathize. Now, I know empathy is now considered a sin in the Christian circles, but I can empathize with these people who truly believe that this is truth and reality that they live in. But unfortunately, there's so much evidence where it's not true. And I used to be the person that if I heard this, if me 15 years ago heard me now, I'd be like, it's so sad she's going to hell because I was in that psychosis. But now I'm over here in reality and I'm like, oh yeah, the rapture isn't real, my guy. It's not.
So, a couple things I want to say as we're bringing this to an end is I'm obsessed with you, and I've
Isn't it hard not to be?
like I've written down like 6 different things that I want to have you back on to talk about. I'll send to you in a text mess.
Yes.
But um, to the listener, with me being a gay man and being very blue in a very red southern state, I want to give grace and I want to allow grace. And so I've learned to ask questions in a certain way. So when someone comes to me and they say, and I'm not saying this is going to be right for everybody, like this is just something that I
Mhm.
do that makes me feel better with who I surround myself with. But if someone comes to me and they're like, "Oh, I'm Christian, I'm MAGA, I'm whatever," I ask them, "Okay, do you believe in X, such as let's use gay, right? Like, do you believe
Mhm.
that gay people are going to hell, or do you preach that gay people are going to hell?" Because those are 2 different things. When they say, "Well, I don't preach anything, I keep my beliefs close to me, and it's what I believe, and I don't try to spread it on," that tells me they're not dangerous and they are just in a place where they're believing someone else. When they tell me, no, I preach about this. Like I'm a firm that when I hear, if I heard that my nephew was gay, you better believe I'm pounding the Bible in him. That's dangerous. And those are different types of people. And just from my experience, when someone comes to me and says that they believe X because their preacher said it was in the Bible, ask them, do you believe this? And it doesn't matter if they say yes or no, but do you preach it? Because people will stand firm on a ground they fully believe in. And if
And
you,
it's dangerous.
yeah, and if you fully believed that someone like me is going to be in hell, you would be on the ground of, yes, I believe it and I preach about it. I discuss it. And then preaching about it doesn't mean standing at an altar, right? It means having the
Right, right, right. No.
conversation in some kind of way. The people that tell me that, well, I mean, it's what I believe, but I keep my mouth shut, lets me know that they're believing it because someone told them to believe it, and that's all they know to do. And all it's going to take is a few conversations
Yeah.
for them to see that people
Well,
like me don't go to hell
yeah.
for being gay. I mean, people like me will be in hell, sure, but not for being gay.
Well, and it's crazy, like before we got into it, I was telling you I started watching Left Behind today to
Yeah.
like really get me in the groove.
Ah,
And here's a few things that I forgot about. And then I'm reminded as I watch it. One, the first half hour of the movie isn't even about the rapture. It's about the things that lead up to the rapture. And it's A, very political. B, not only is it very political, but it's also like, wait, what? So the movie starts out, they're in Israel and there's a war going on. And it like someone is about to bomb Israel and somehow all of these planes just start falling out of the sky and the attack doesn't work. So then it's this whole thing that like God is protecting Israel and blah 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 and like stops this war from happening. So now it's that. The second thing that leads up to the rapture was this one world order. And there's this man who we later on find out is the Antichrist. His name is Nikolai Carpathia. He's this fair-skinned, light hair, blue-eyed, like wealthy white man that is there to unify the world. He's going to help us get to world peace. And the big kicker that was like, oh, this is the Antichrist, is he was creating a one world currency. And I vividly remember it like took me back as soon as I saw they start discussing the currency that I was taught as a child that when the world all goes to one currency, it's the end times. And I'm like, I laugh at about it now because I was in that psychosis and I really believed that these were like real and true things. But now I look at it and I'm like, as soon as this like Dogecoin or, fill in the blank, all this cryptocurrency started coming out, that it's a different currency that doesn't align with the dollar or the yen or the fill in the blank. And I'm just like, oh man, these people are like convinced that this means it's the end of the world. And then the third thing that I was like reminded of that I didn't remember was the way that they kind of prompt that there would be people who were left behind in the rapture that were Christians or they, whatever, but either they had a secret sin that no one knew that they had this gambling addiction or they were having an affair or whatever, they had this secret sin, or there were in all of these movies, any movie that you watch about the rapture, there's always a pastor who they kind of zero in on. that got left behind. And they'll have this like argument with God. I preached and I taught and I knew every word and I could quote scripture and blah, 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 blah. But then, like, through the movie, they're like weeping and they're like, I never really believed it. So their faith wasn't strong enough. And now, because they didn't believe well enough, and I mean, faith is not something that can be measured. There's no benchmark for faith. But they have this story where there would be a preacher that didn't have enough faith, and now they're doomed to live on earth while hell breaks loose on earth. And they have to deal with the demons and the famine and the pests and like all the different things. They have to deal with that because they didn't believe well enough. And it's like I spent so many years as a child being like, well, what if I think that I believe, but I'm not actually believing enough? What if there's that seed of doubt? What if I'm a doubting Thomas and I don't actually believe and then I get left behind? And then the only chance that I have at that point is to become a martyr. And then if I get murdered for my faith after Jesus, then I have a chance at making it to heaven. And it's it was truly real. It was truly real and tangible to me. I'm at this point where, like, I was at that point as a child where I'm thinking these things and I'm worried about it. And like, I would come home from school and I'd be like, hey, mom, I'm home. And if she didn't immediately respond, or if I saw her shoes on the floor, or like, I got left behind.
Yeah.
And I'm in,
The intent, in my opinion, the intent
Mhm.
of these types of movies and religions and congregational conversations is to fearmonger. Like
Yeah, it's
you had to be
genuine at its core fear mongering. And it was okay, so you need to make sure that your faith is truly at the level that it needs to be so that you could be taken up in the rapture. Now, how are you going to prove it? Because faith without works is dead. And where do you look for someone's acts of faith? You start with their wallet. I need to prove to myself, to God, and to my spiritual leaders that I believe by saying, I'm going to give you my money. And there's people who are literally this week selling their vehicles, quitting their jobs, that are giving away everything that they have. There's a story of this Uber driver who's, driving around town and someone hands them like a bag. It was like a Ziploc bag. And they're like, hey, we're about to get raptured and we just know that you're going to need this. So we want to gift this to you. And they're crying. They're like, can we pray for you? And they get out of the Uber and they go home. One, so you're saying he's not going to make the cut? How do you know?
his skin was
So first of all, you've already judged this man. You've decided he is clearly not Christian. He's clearly not a believer. He clearly doesn't believe well enough because he's not going to make the cut. Two, you're like, let me gift this to you. It was $1,500. So they just gave this man, and he's like, cool, like I'm gonna keep it.
yeah. Have a safe trip on your rapture.
And I mean, there's so much more that these people who really believe the rapture was happening this week. I mean, they were giving tips and tricks on TikTok. I don't know if you saw these videos where they were saying, hey, make sure you don't grab onto anything. Don't look down. So there was a woman who said, I don't want it to be like a Lot's wife situation where she was leaving the city that God had abandoned and she looked back and turned into a pillar of salt. She said, when you're being raptured, don't look down. Let me explain something. Even if the rapture is real, we're going to play devil's advocate here. Okay. Let's say the rapture is real, that Christians are going to be taken up and into heaven. Now, let me explain something. When we're talking about heaven, we're talking about spiritual realms, the term up is used. They don't mean physically up. There are dimensions, like, you see the first, second, third dimension, the fourth dimension, fifth dimension. They're stacked on top of each other. So when you go into a higher dimension, you can see more, you can see spiritual things, you can experience more things. That higher dimension is not a physical looking up and going up. People are talking about, I'm going to get caught. If I were to get raptured right now, what if I got caught on the ceiling? Do you think
Right.
God is not stronger than plywood or stucco?
Right. Like I was like, oh my God, all these balloons that have been released into the atmosphere and those strings are caught up in the clouds, and that's what I'm gonna be tangled up in, is those damn balloon strings
Or
that
have you seen all of the satellites that are on around Earth? You're gonna get, what if you get hit into one?
it's gonna be a ping pong. I'm gonna hit the satellite and be sent back down and unraptured. Like I'm
And I'm gonna, what if I hold on to the table? Is the table gonna come with me?
and
Well,
odds
and then it depends on which Rapture movie, because Left Behind, their clothes were left behind in a pile on the ground. But if you watch The Remaining, which is my personal favorite Rapture movie because it was a Christian horror movie, they just fell over dead and their spirit was lifted out of them.
are.
Like, so who knows what it actually is going to look like? And it's crazy. Like these this whole concept of what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, these people who truly believe it. And I want to yell at them. It's like, first of all, if you believe in heaven and hell, which I don't know if I do, but I understand the concept, I could teach you about them. They're all right here.
Yeah.
If you start learning about astral projection, which like kind of gives the science perspective of heaven, hell, and everything in between, that if you're like, you fall asleep and then you can like come out of your body and you're on the astral plane. If you raise your vibrations up, you'll be in heaven. If you lower them, you'll be in hell. And that's where you get the, Dante's Inferno, different levels of hell, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We could talk on all of that for hours. But all of those things, you're not physically your body isn't getting lifted up. And it's so funny because I'm explaining all this and I have a ton of knowledge and I've done so much studying on these things and I know a lot about it. And then I like casually made a joke about it to my best friend who didn't grow up religious. And I was like, oh yeah, the rapture's happening today. She's like, what the fuck is the rapture?
Yeah.
And I was like, you've never heard of Left Behind? She's like, no, I haven't left. What the fuck is Left Behind?
The word rapture is not in the Bible.
It's not biblical.
Yeah.
So I'm like trying to explain to her the concept of this. And she's like, wait, 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 wait. So when the Christians go up, you said like their clothes is left behind? And I was like, yeah. She's like, so it's like a naked orgy in heaven?
Uh-huh. I was gonna say, well, of course.
Let me just tell you, if the people I went to church with are the ones getting raptured, and they're the ones that are going to be in heaven naked, please, for the love of God, gouge my eyes out if I have to be there because those people, I don't want to see any of them naked.
Nope. And if hell is filled with people like the Christians that I know, I'm not interested. Like, unrapture me.
Unrapture me.
Honey,
Can I get a first class ticket straight away
you
from
know,
wherever
like
they are?
I will take my chance with whatever is supposed to, like what, big cockroaches or something in the Bible. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Alicia, I'm obsessed with you. I have like a list of like 12 things now that I want us to discuss. Um,
Yes.
let's bring, obviously, we keep going, but to bring this episode to an end,
Yes.
I always like to end on something fun and light because we start with fun and light things, but sometimes we have conversations like this, which are conversations that need to be fucking had.
But they're heavy.
Yeah, and so I'm going to ask you a rapid fire question.
Oh, heavens.
This question is related to where you come from, and your background. And I
Hmm.
also have an answer to this question. Um, it could be a whole different topic and subject, which we can do on another episode. But the intent is to end on something positive and lighthearted. So my
Okay, I'm
question
ready.
for you is from the Ish Bowl. The question is, if you could send yourself a text message right now about your past, what would it say?
Am I sending it to my past self?
No, your past is sending it to you now.
Okay, so 10 years ago, me is sending a text to me right now. Okay, if it's legitimately 10 years ago, me to 10 years ago now, I'm probably asking a question. And I would probably then be like, is sex as good as they say it is? And I would say, honey, it's better.
Uh, I love that for you. I can't wait till I'm able to send myself that response. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Well, you see, you in that experience, you probably would have had great sex in church. As a woman in the church that was meant to just be a tool for her husband so that he did not stray or sin, I was just meant to lay on my back. And now we having
Well,
fun out here.
and if I was a straight man, it would have been pleasurable for me.
Yes.
But as we all know, in religious organizations, I think specifically in gay stuff, Catholic is where there's gay molestation and
Right.
so I mean, yeah, if I was a straight man,
Well, you see, my friends, when I remember I brought my best friend back then was a gay man. And I brought him to church and he was all about church. He loved it. And everyone pulled me aside and asked me if I was going to marry him so I could save him.
but is that why the universe brought us together? Are you here to save
Yeah,
me?
I'm here to save you from your
I
sexuality.
love this for me. But I
Hmm.
have to say, the, what you learned about sex that is so much better. It's not gonna be that great when we get married.
I can teach you. It's fine.
Perfect. Okay, so I really like this rapid fire question that I asked you, and I kept going back and forth with myself on how I would answer this. And I had two different.
Yeah.
One of them is that I would text myself, David, it's gonna hurt, but the pain is gonna be worth the gain. And I truly believe that, and I believe that, and I know that for a fact that it is. Like I've had
It's
more.
so funny. It's so funny that you're bringing this up though, because I almost asked someone this exact same question yesterday.
Yeah, it's like someone asked me on a podcast I was on probably 2 years ago at this point. I think, well, maybe even longer because I think it was during COVID times. But they asked me if I would change what had happened to me, and I said no. And you can see in real time, I was like, what? Like, but the
Hmm.
people that I have met, the people that are part of my life now, are because of who I met from the journey that I'm on, the shit I went through, and
Absolutely.
and I'm making a difference, and I'm being loud, and I won't shut up.
Yeah. Well, so the way that I wanted to prompt this very similar question to the person I wanted to ask it to was, is there any piece of advice that you now could send to you then that you think that person would actually listen to? Because 10 years ago, me, if someone said, "Hey, the church you're in is not the love of God. This is not safe for you. You deserve better. You need to leave. I would say get fucked. I wouldn't say get fucked because I wasn't allowed to say those words, but I would say you don't know what you're talking about. You're just not hardcore enough. And I was trying to think, is there any piece of advice that I could tell then me that I would have listened to? And I don't know if there's anything I could have told me that past me would actually hear.
I don't think that any of us in any situation hears advice from others and truly accepts and adheres to that advice. Could it be in the back of
Yeah.
the mind? Sure. But I think there's so many things that we have to learn on our own. But if I was on your podcast and you were doing a rapid fire question to me and you were asking me this question, what I would say and what my answer would be is, David, I need you to remember that it's not them versus you. It's always you. It is not versus. It is always
Yep.
you. And what I would mean by that is be proud, stand up,
Hmm.
see yourself out in a way when you need, but it's always you.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of us, if not all of us, at some point in our lives, we think there's something bigger and grander than us, and that's where faith comes in. But then there's this triangle or this tier of people, and so if there's this greater thing, then there's things that trickle down from that, and I'm bottom of the top pole. And so it's all of them versus me.
Yeah.
And what I try to remember now, it's not them versus me, it's always me, period. Me, period.
Yeah. So do I get to ask you a rapid fire question?
Okay.
Okay. Let's say the rapture's real. This is the world we're in, okay? What is one thing that you hope also is in heaven? Because, we're taught that like the food, you're not going to have school or work, the things of this life are no longer there. What's one experience you want to take with you to heaven?
Fuck. According to what I've been taught is I will never go to heaven. I cannot imagine a world for myself that doesn't have music. And Reba is my number one. Like I have every song. Like
Oh, Reba.
honey, I pay $1,000 a year to see her front row center stage. I know every song by heart. I have every album. The sadder the song, the happier I am. And I could not imagine being in a world where I can't just, or being in a heaven where I can't put on a Reba album and sing to the top of my lungs. Like I have to have
I think I might be stuck between weed and orgasms.
that. But you know what? I love that you've had such great orgasms. You want to take them to heaven with you. I, I'm like the orgasms I've had to have come with a lot of baggage, and honey, I'm tired.
You're like, you know what? If I have to live for eternity without something, might be orgasms.
I mean, I will say if I can have some alone time and some self-induced orgasms in heaven, I'll take
Listen, I support a DIY.
it. Like,
I am a DIY girly.
listen, I've done it twice since we've had this conversation.
Listen, look, there are no good men left. All I have is DIY.
And well, there's plenty of good men left. They're just all gay. And
Yeah, they're all together. I used to say that all the time. There's plenty of good men. They just found each other.
Honey, like, meanwhile, I say here, about to go to bed by myself.
DIY.
I'm obsessed with you. I cannot wait to continue this conversation.
Yeah.
There are a few people on my list that I want to have these ongoing conversations with, and you were one of them before, and now there's like highlighters and stars.
Yeah. Send me the text. I need to go through this list.
I was gonna say, and I made a list of things I want us to discuss, and I want you to too. Like,
Yeah.
text me, like, I just had this thought. Let's talk about it, honey. We'll
Yeah.
hit record and we'll talk. But
Yeah.
I am obsessed. So as of the recording of this, so today is October 6th, almost October 7th. So as far as Rapture, we're
We
45.
have about, well, we have about 16 hours left that it could happen.
Yeah. So hopefully this show gets released. If
Yeah.
not, maybe it will play for us up into heaven.
I hope so.
Or it will be released because I was not raptured.
You know, the last time they had the rapture scheduled a couple weeks ago, it was on the day that I had a dentist appointment, and my sister was working the front desk at the dentist's office. And I said, "What if the rapture happens in the middle of my cleaning?" She said, "It's okay, I'll come finish it for you. I'm almost done with dental school too." She goes, "Because neither one of us are going to make the cut."
Let's be honest. Like, we'll be recording together next week.
For sure.
I
Coming at you live with no Christians left on earth.
and does that sound like heaven? Okay.
So that's how we get to heaven.
That's
Love it.
how it happens. I'm obsessed with you. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for all the love and
Of
support.
course.
Thank
I
you.
love you, husband.
Yes, thank you for sharing all that you share. And I can't wait to support you and with whatever you decide to do. I'm going to share all your links,
Thank
show
you.
notes.
Yes. Find me on TikTok under Spilling the Kool-Aid. Keep an eye out for my interview with the Was I in a Cult podcast. Catch me on Healed-ish. Catch me now on Surviving-ish. Also catch me on, I'm like losing all of it. All of the podcasts.
Yeah, all the podcasts.
All the podcasts.
Yes. I love you, my friend. Thank
I
you
love
so
you.
much.
Take care. See you
Yeah.
after the rapture.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Well, so same time, same place tomorrow night. But good night, my love. I'll talk to you
I
soon.
love you.
You bye.